The banks are basically trying to play the victim here by saying, if Biden and the CFPB caps how much we can charge in junk fees, we're not going to be able to give the consumers cashback rewards, points, incentives on their credit card. And matter of fact, we may even have to increase the APR for everybody. Not everybody has to pay if we're not allowed to charge how much we want to charge in late fees and junk fees and overdraft fees. That's basically the countersuit from the Chamber of Commerce and the banks. Peace, what's going on? This is Joel with the Money Codes. So some news came out earlier this week, I believe on Tuesday, about the Biden administration and the CFPB going after the credit card industry. Their goal is to put a cap on how much credit card companies can hit you guys with late fees. And I don't need to tell you already, the banks and the Chamber of Commerce, they've already countersued the CFPB, but I'm going to go into that in a second. It's already crazy. So first of all, let's clarify who exactly this rule applies to. We're talking about the major players in the banking industry. I'm talking about Bank of America, Capital One, Citibank, JP Morgan, Chase, right? These major banks have been known to slap huge late fees on their customers, sometimes as high as $30 for their very first late payment. This is who the CFPB and the Biden administration are going after. Now, why are they implementing this rule? The Biden administration has been going all out trying to get banks to reduce their unfair fees. If you guys remember a few weeks back, we covered a video about how the CFPB were going after the banks and the credit unions, calling them out on the amount that they charged in their overdraft fees. They basically called them junk fees, and you can already see a lot of banks and credit unions have already begun to change how they charge their customers after they got put on blast. Guys, when you see me mention the CFPB a lot on this channel, which I do, and we go to the CFPB to hold the credit bureaus, the debt collection companies, creditors, right? Credit repair companies accountable. I want you guys to understand, every time we go to the CFPB and they're taking that data, they're actually doing something about it, right? This is just another example about when the consumer raises their hand and say, wait a second, something's not right. The CFPB actually does something about it. This is the reason why these banks are already starting to countersue the CFPB, and really they want them to have less power. And in other videos, I'm going to talk about that, but just keep that in the back of your head. With the average credit card late fee hovering around $32, it makes sense why the Biden administration is going after these fees heavily. The CFPB estimates that banks earn about $14 billion annually from late fees alone. Not from anything else, $14 billion in just late fees. All right, so now let's talk about the numbers. Right now, credit card companies have free rein to charge significant late fees, sometimes up to $30 per late payment. But under the new rule, that number is going to be reduced to $8. The CFPB is capping late fees at a maximum of $8, or banks will need to justify how they're charging more. That's a significant drop from the current average late fee and could save consumers $10 billion annually. All right. So this is what they're trying to do. They want to take it from $30+ per late fee down to $8 per late fee. That's what the CFPB and the Biden administration are trying to do. As I mentioned at the top of the video, they're also cracking down on the excessive overdraft fees as well, proposing to cap them as little as $3. This is all a part of their mission to level the playing field and protect consumers from predatory banking practices. So now again, they want to take late fees from $35+ to $8. They want to take the overdraft fees, which is usually around like $20, $25 in overdraft, and cap that to $3. So they are drastically reducing how much these credit card companies can hit the consumers with these fees. That right there is a dramatic reduction. But here's how the credit card companies tried to be slick, right? Because they had to be slick about it. Credit card companies have been exploiting a loophole for over a decade, hiking up fees under the guise of inflation. Essentially, credit card companies were using inflation as an excuse to continually increase late fees over time, even though the actual cost of managing late fee payments remained relatively the same. This allowed them to impose higher fees on consumers without a justifiable reason, ultimately leading to inflated late fees and increased profits for the credit card companies. So now this is pretty much a classic case of corporate greed, and the Chamber of Commerce, they're not happy about it. They're already gearing up to sue the CFPB, claiming the new rule penalizes responsible consumers. Now, here's the angle that they're trying to come at. I told you they're trying to be slick. So what do they mean by that? Let me know in the comments if you're buying the following arguments, right? These are the arguments from the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce expresses concern that reducing late fees could negatively impact consumers in several ways. Number one, access to credit. They argue that capping late fees could lead to banks to reduce credit card offerings or tighten credit card standards, making it more difficult for some consumers to access credit. This could affect individuals who rely on credit cards for everyday expenses or emergencies, right? So that's reason number one. Reason number two, the Chamber suggests that if banks face limitations on late fees, they may offset these losses by raising the APR for all consumers, even those who pay their bills on time. Higher interest rates could make borrowing more expensive for cardholders. All right, reason number three that they're giving, decrease rewards and perks. So they imply that reducing late fees might force credit card companies to cut back on rewards and perks offered to cardholders. This could mean fewer incentives such as cash back, travel rewards, and other benefits associated with credit card usage. Overall, the Chamber of Commerce contends that the new rule could have unintended consequences that ultimately harm consumers' access to credit and financial well-being. The banks are basically trying to play the victim here by saying, if Biden and the CFPB caps how much we can charge in junk fees, we're not going to be able to give the consumers cashback rewards, points, incentives on their credit card. And matter of fact, we may even have to increase the APR for everybody. Not everybody has to pay if we're not allowed to charge how much we want to charge in late fees and junk fees and overdraft fees. That's basically the countersuit from the Chamber of Commerce and the banks. So that's pretty much it, guys. The credit card landscape is changing, and it's all in the name of consumer protection. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, comment, like, hit the bell notification, and I'm going to check you guys out in the next video. Have a good one. Peace.